The colors of history has shaped the world. Contents. Introduction. A word of color. Yellows. Ochre. Chrome yellow. Gamboge. Inca gold. Saffron. Orange. Reds. Cochineal. Vermilion. Pink. Red ochre. Mommy brown. Purple. Hues. Cerulean purple. Orchard. Introduction. A world of color. Imagine a world without color. How drab and dreary it would seem. No gold and red and yellow, sunsets or brilliant green fields and forests. From showing our support for a particular sports team by wearing its colors to recognizing red or green signals at traffic lights. Color plays a part in everything we do. The colors of nature. Color has always played a crucial role in the natural world. Some living creatures are colored as camouflage to hide among their surroundings. Others stand out in bright colors, which they are to attract mates or to warn other creatures away. Prehistoric peoples learned to recognize the colors of certain plants, fruits, and berries. The colors helped them tell which were ripe and could be eaten, and which were harmful. Color crazes. Throughout history, many colors, both natural and synthetic, have stimulated the imagination. They have excited, outraged and inspired fashions and fads, from passions for pinks to crazes for particular purpose, yellows or greens. Some sources of color at certain points in history became as valuable as gold, and were so highly prized that the battles were fought over them.
A
colorful history. This book contains a selection of colorful tales that will take you on a whirlwind journey to different places at different times in history. As some pigments have given rise to a range of shades, we have handpicked a sample of each tale's color to show a typical example. Along the way, you'll discover many of the ingenious ways people have obtained colors. How some shades were lost and rediscovered, and now the use was sometimes spread by traders, explorers, and conquerors. You learn how the color orange was adopted by the Dutch, how a river flows bright green every year in Chicago, how it took dozens of sea snails days to dye a single purple robe, and much more besides. Yellow is one of the three primary colors of paint and pigments, along with blue and red. Throughout history, it has been thought of as the color of sunshine and warmth in many cultures, and was so prized in Imperial China that only the country's emperor and empress could wear certain yellow shades. But yellow also has a dark side. It is the color of cowardice to many, and to some, the color of sickness, possibly because of the yellowing of the skin caused by diseases such as jaundice and malaria. Yellows. Ochre, chrome yellow, gamboge, Inca gold, saffron, Orange.
Ancient color.
Ancient color from the earth.
Yellow.
Ochre. In 1940, four teenagers were exploring the woods near their home town of Montignac, France. When one of them made an astonishing discovery. A deep hole led the boys into the previously unknown. Let's cox. Let's cox. Let's cox. Let's cox. Let's cox. Let's cox. Cave. Its walls were covered in colorful prehistoric cave art. Much of it painted in yellow ochre.
Blue color.
Clay color. Yellow ochre is an earthy pigment made from clay containing iron oxide. This clay is found in many places in the world, and early people ground it down into a powder. Mixing the powder with plant sap or water made paint that could be dabbed on the rock using hands, leaves, tree bark, or thin animal bones. At Laxcox, some of the artwork was spray painted onto the rock walls by blowing paint through a reed or hollow bone. Made to last. The paintings discovered by the teenagers featured yellows and rest made from ochre. There was also black, which came from charcoal. The paintings depicted more than 2,000 different figures, mostly animals such as horses, bulls, and stags, and even a rhinoceros. Unlike some other pigments, yellow ochre does not decay or fade quickly, especially when it is not exposed to sunlight. Many of Laxcox's cave paintings are thought to be more than 17,000 years old. Around the world, royal tombs in ancient Egypt were often decorated with yellow ochre walls, and Australian aboriginals painted with it too. It was later used by many famous artists, including Rembrandt, Reno, and Raphael. By the 18th century, France had become a century for the production of yellow ochre. The Huli tribe in Papua New Guinea and the Fulani people in Western Africa still work with yellow ochre, using it as makeup for ceremonies, carving the entire life face in the color. Setting the art word or a light. Chrome yellow. In the early 1760s, a French geologist found a new mineral looking deep within a Russian gold mine. He named it cockroach. It would give rise to a stunningly bright color seized upon by a young, struggling painter, Vincent van Gogh. He used it to produce some of his most memorable works of art. As elementary French chemist Nicolas Louis Vauquelin experimented on cockroach and discovered a new chemical element. He called it chromium, after the Greek for color. Vauquelin discovered that a combination of chromium and lead produces a vivid yellow color. It soon became a popular ingredient, and artists paints. King George IV of England liked it so much that he had much of his seaside retreat, the Royal
Royal
Pavilion at Brighton, decorated using the color bright lights, chrome yellows, bright yellow orange hue was a hit with French painters such as Claude Monet and Paul Cézanne. Paul Cézanne. Vincent van Gogh's early paintings were dull and drab, but after being inspired by others' bright artworks, he began working in feverishly bright colors. He used chrome yellow extensively on a series of paintings of sunflowers and wheat fields. A century after it was painted, one of his paintings of sunflowers sold for
39.7
million.
US dollars.
Randolph. It eventually became clear that over long periods of time, chrome yellow changed underlight, turning to a dull brown. This fate is befalling some of Van Gogh's paintings. Artists have begun switching to other yellows that didn't fade and change. However, this shade of yellow is still used for school purposes and the United States, as well as yellow lines and other road markings. Can't make you go. Gamboge got its name from the country of Cambodia, which was once known as Cambodia. The color was used as a paint in China, Japan, and India for over 800 years before it reached Europe. Special step. Gamboge was made from the Garcinia trees which are found in Cambodia, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. Collectors would make a deep cut into the trunk of a major tree and place a hollowed out piece of bamboo to channel the milky sap that flowed out. The sap was then roasted over fire. It took a long time to harden into brown lumps. They looked like toffee. At first glance, that was far from inspiring, but as soon as water was added, it produced a warm golden yellow color. Pendant plants. Gamboge was used by many painters in the 17th
century
and 18th centuries, such as Peter. Peter Bruegel, the elder, Rembrandt, and the famous English landscape artist J.M.W. Turner, another English artist, William Hooker, produced plant illustrations for scientists. However, he was desperate for a strong green that would let him accurately depict the color of many plants' leaves. He mixed Gamboge with Prussian blue. See pages 44, 45 to produce a brand new color, Hooker's green. Medical moments. In 1603, a Dutch doctor and botanist, Carolus Clusius, obtained one of the first known samples of the pigment in Europe. It had been brought to Amsterdam for from China by Dutch ships. For a time, gumbo became a popular medicine in Europe. It was used to treat rheumatism, scurvy, and other illnesses. However, gumbo is poisonous, and in large doses could be fatal. Even small doses act as a very powerful laxative. Workers at the London paint making factory in the 19th century found that they had to go to the toilet every hour when handling gambots.
The color
The
of
color of plunder.
Inca.
Gold. Gold has been highly prized by many civilizations, especially the Inca Empire. For the Incas, gold was connected to the sun god, Inti. But the precious metals higher value to European explorers and soldiers would hasten the Incas' downfall. Mountain Empire at its peak around 15,000. The Inca Empire covered much of western South America, stretching from
Chile
to Ecuador. This mountainous territory contained rich deposits of gold and silver. The Incas mined the gold. And also took it from peoples they conquered. In battle, ordinary Incas had to perform compulsory work called meta for the emperor. Some performed the meta by mining precious metals. Get gold humanely if you can, but it's all hazards. Get gold. No. The sweet of the sun. The Incas were incredibly skilled at working gold into beaver and elaborate designs. They thought of this precious as the sweat of the sun. All gold belonged by right to the ruler. The Super Inca at drink from gold cups, wore poor gold hairdresses and jewelry, and even had a throne made of more than 70 kilograms of solid gold. Beautiful gold. A Spanish soldier, Hernan Cortes, has claimed vast riches from the Aztec Empire in Mexico. Another Spaniard, Francisco Pizarro, wanted his own share of the spoils. In 1532, he arrived in Cajamarca with a force of just under 170 men. 70 men. He was outnumbered, but the Incas had never seen horses or guns before, and many fled or were killed. Pizarro captured Atahualpa, who promised to fill a room with gold if his life was spared. Over 7 tons of gold treasure were brought, but the Inca was executed. The years that followed saw dozens of Inca gold treasures seized, melted down, and sent back to Spain. The world's most expensive color. Saffron. White, golden, yellow, orange color. Saffron comes from a particular species of
Corsica.
grown mostly in Ireland and Spain. Delicate threads inside the flower give saffron its distinctive color and flavor. In the past, it was much in demand as a dye and medicine. It remains popular as a food, color and flavoring. Horses white and gold to harvest just half a kilogram of saffron requires 85,000 hours. So, a single gram can cost as much as 15
Pound.
saffrons pound 15. Saffron's high price meant that in the past it was used mostly by people of wealth and power. Alexander the Great is said to have bathed in saffron to heal wounds, while the Roman Emperor Nero used it as an air freshener. Saffron, blood, and wine was piped into Rome's mighty Colosseum to mask the bloody stench of pagan gladiators. Color crimes throughout medieval Europe. Saffron was bought and traded, and sometimes stolen, perhaps hijacked. Ships carrying the precious cargo, and one such theft led to a 3-month conflict called the Saffron War. Traders sometimes cheated by filling out the parcels of saffron with cheaper substances. In 1444, a trader in Germany who diluted his saffron with shredded marigold flowers was burnt alive.
Holy color. Holy color. Stop. Holy color.
A holy color. The robes of many Buddhist monks are dyed this color. Using saffron itself was often too expensive. Instead, the monks used vegetable dyes made from a far cheaper spice, turmeric. Christian monks who practiced prayer books by hand occasionally used saffron instead of real gold to eliminate letters.
Hindu mix separate.
No. Hindus mix saffron into a colored paste used to make a mark called a tilak on the statues of deities. Saffron appears on the national flag of India, where it represents courage and sacrifice.
Or color to go.
A color to go mat for orange.
Ancient
Ancient Egyptians painted in orange using a ground up mineral called Ilga, a mixture of poisonous arsenic. This pigment was also used in European painting, but orange remained a color without a name in Europe for many centuries. What's in your name?
Orange.
Orange was simply known as red in Europe under
Portuguese.
Portuguese
And Italian.
and Italian traders written from in the 15th and 16th centuries. Bringing home sweet orange trees. The color took its name from the fruit, which was called naranga in the Sanskrit language, becoming naranja in Spanish and eventually orange in English and French.
Sea salt. How's sea salt?
Has of orange. Hundreds before the color's name was about independent state. Southern France was named Orange. This state gave us name to the royal house of the Netherlands. They adopted orange as their color. The color was widely used in paintings, and Dutch farmers managed to breed bright orange carrots. Before that time, all carrots were purple or white.
Orange madness.
Orange madness. When the Dutch flag was first flown into 1517s, it was orange, white and blue, but it's thought that the orange dyes of the time turned yellow or red after exposure to the sun, and over time the orange was officially replaced by red. Even so, the Dutch people continue to celebrate orange, especially on Koningsdag, the birthday of the country's king. This national holiday features orange banners as crowds take to the streets, eating orange food and wearing orange clothes, hats and wigs. High vest tint, a color that stands out even in polite. Today, orange is used for life jackets, safety signs, and high visibility clothing. Aircraft black boxes, which record flight details in case of a crash, are actually orange, so they can be easily found among crash wreckage.